Hello, Janice.
Hi, Robin.
How are you? How are you, vacation woman?
I'm doing great. Listen, I have to stop you right away though and tell you how beautiful you look today. I love the pearls. And what's up with the one earring? Although I like it, it's edgy.
I'm unapologetically Black. As we know, I'm a Creole mixed girl in America, and I just, I feel we're both fighters for justice, and injustice is injustice. So
okay, well, and that brings us to episode 8.
It's to speak up or not to speak up. Like, that is the question. When you're in a workplace abuse situation, it's people always go back and forth. I should have spoke up. Why didn't I speak up? I did speak up. I shouldn't have spoke up. So
right.
I know we had very different experiences.
Yep.
Tell me yours. How did you handle it?
So I felt like I spoke up, and I spoke up very strongly, and then I got very sick and I lost my career over it. So for me, there was a 2-year process during my healing process of where I really had to process the decisions that I made, if it was worth it, if it wasn't. And so that was my story. Tell me how you handled it.
I handled it. I did not speak up at first. I was I tried so hard. Everything that was thrown in front of me, I gracefully took, and I was very fearful because, when you speak up, which we'll talk about in a second, there's lots of decisions that should be made. And at the time, I wasn't really thinking about all these things, but I spoke up at the end, and I spoke up big because I wrote an email to the president of the company, but it took me about a year.
Right. Now, did that make any difference for you because a lot of it's funny. I had this overwhelming feeling of needing to write the CEO, and I was kind of advised that if I wanted to, if it made me feel better, I could do that, but not to expect anything to come from it. So I kind of went through this emotional experience with whether I was going to do that or not. What did it do for you to end up reaching out to the CEO? What happened? Did it do anything?
Well, you and I talked about it, and you said the exact same thing to me, which I feel maybe Deb, a couple other people said too. Don't expect anything. You're doing this for yourself. Right. I don't know. There was something about him. I know this sounds funny. His LinkedIn profile, he looks like a very nice man, and he answered me right back, and in the end it did help me because it gave me closure, and the HR person I was talking to and him in the end, I think really helped tremendously with my healing process because they listened to me. And I mean, I wish that all Targets had this. Not that as we know, healing is a process, and we talk about things.
Right. Yeah. So let's talk about quickly some educational pieces of it. So if you are going to speak up, right?
Yes.
What are some things because there are, so I talked about the stats earlier. So let's talk about that quickly because I feel like it's so important. According to the Workplace Bullying Institute surveys, over 2/3 of targets will lose their job. In addition, 40% of people that face workplace abuse will suffer real health consequences, PTSD, suicide ideation, anxiety, all kinds of issues. So there's these stats out there that I feel like are very important for people to understand. Listen, if you're going to speak out, or if you're not going to speak out, just if you're going to stay in a toxic, abusive work environment, these are what the stats are. So you need to know that going in. So why don't you start us off though with, like, if you are going to speak out, what are some things that people can do to protect themselves a little bit more? What should they have in place before they speak out? What's something that you can think of that you think is important?
Well, I think that I hear the stats you're saying, and I know the outcome, but I know we don't exactly see. I tend to think that your job is over, and maybe you can find out how to keep yourself safe and speak out sooner than later. And I'm going to put my rose-colored glasses on now because I think it's appropriate.
Let me see that. We have them, by the way. Yes. All right. Tell me, what's your rose-colored glass perspective?
I'm going to tell you. I think that the targets are. I want to get to a place. I don't want to hear these stats. I don't want these stats to be what happens to all of us targets, because it's not our fault. It's not our shame. And targets are usually the most talented, amazing people at their workplace. So I don't want them to get caught up in these stats. I want one day for it to be a target goes into a workplace and says, why did you leave your job? And they say, because I was targeted. And they say, you're hired, because they know what an amazing person they are.
Right.
So I know the stats. It makes me sad, because I think that sometimes you got to put your rose-colored glasses on. You just got to say, I don't care about the stats. I'm not going to be a stat. I'm not going to be a stat.
Right. Okay. So my approach, which I love it, and I find your approach inspiring, and I feel like there's room for that as you're taking a drink of your Pepsi or Coke as I'm about to talk. After what happened to me, there was no other approach that I could take and that I will ever take, except for that people need to be super responsible when it comes to their health and safety. And if you're going to speak up, I want people to do it where they will never face the consequences of what I faced. Now, perhaps if you're more educated going in, like let's say we've experienced workplace abuse, so the second time that we go into a situation again, like put them on and like rock it. But the first time you're experiencing it, you definitely want to have a lot of information on your side, which is what we're hoping to provide. So for me, if you're going to speak up, you have to have an exit strategy in place, period. You have to know that it's not in your favor. I mean, I would love to say that you're going to be one of the 1/3, and you might be, and like rock those glasses and you tell us your story, because I am going to rejoice with you. But 2/3 of you, it's not going to work out that way. So have an exit strategy just in case. So important.
Exit strategy just in case. I think that's beautiful.
Okay.
But when we're going through this, as we are being gaslighted, I had no idea what was going on.
Right.
So to even think about having an exit strategy, I had to do my research. And you were a big part of that research, even to have my exit strategy. So I'm glad we're talking about this and you're telling people this to get it out, because you have to find information and you have to find your tribe, your people. These are our people to help you get that exit strategy. I do believe once you start getting targeted, it's pretty much your job is you need to start thinking about exit strategy, because you're, like you said, I do believe your job is pretty much over, right?
The problem is that by the time you're recognizing it, by the time that you realize that there's a real problem, there's so many things that have already happened that have put you beyond the returning point. That's the problem. So much of it is covert, behind closed doors, small things that people that are a part of a normal workplace, gossip, innuendo. You don't know any of it is happening until you get hit with something big. And then you're just so confused. And by that point, it probably is too late. That's the problem with workplace abuse. It's that if you can recognize it right away with the really small stuff and you can speak up then, you might have a chance. The problem is so much of us don't know what's happening to us until it's too late, right? So
it's insidious. Workplace abuse is insidious. Right. And you're being mobbed and things are everything. You're fearful of, your job is at risk. Your livelihood is at risk. Your health starts deteriorating. I mean, we've talked about this. I wore a shirt for 4 weeks. My therapist didn't know when the last time I showered was. It's insidious. And we need, I know we were going to talk about know your company's policies, but it doesn't really matter because they don't follow their policies. Their policies, quite frankly, are bullshit. And you can report this to HR, and HR is not going to do it until the end. They're not going to do anything. And most people, what they're doing to you doesn't matter. I happen to be mixed, and some of the stuff that was said to me was pretty racist. So I think I had a little bit of an edge. But most people, the lawyers will tell you that your boss can treat you any way they want to treat you.
Right. So yes, workplace policies don't really matter. They don't really have to follow them. It doesn't necessarily mean that it makes something illegal. But if we can arm you with more knowledge and more support, right? Knowing your company policies on harassment and what they think about rumors and innuendos and hurting somebody's reputation. So I'll give you a really quick personal example. I was falsely accused of theft, right? From a person actually that had, it was, I mean, now I know, right? In conjunction with somebody in power and somebody that worked for me. So they worked together on this accusation that wasn't true. So, and listen, this was so absurd that I would steal. I mean, you know, to me, I'm seeing this meeting as so absurd. I mean, I have been honest to a T it is so important to me to be a person of integrity and to be honest. And I was like, bring it. Like, there was not one thing I've ever taken from another soul or from this company. Like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like, bring it. And I didn't take it to the level that I should have. Now I know, right, that if someone is making an accusation, I should have looked up my company policy, which is that if somebody is accusing you of something, they can use their own company policy as a follow-through with that false accusation that was received. And instead, of course, it's not true. I let it, like, Janice, whatever. It doesn't matter. It got documented. I don't mean to interrupt. I could have used the policy. Janice, I could have used the policy.
You need to put your rose-colored glasses on right now, because what you're saying, you're coming from such a place that a lot of people don't come from when we're being bullied. You were confident, you were strong, you went into that meeting feeling like, bring it. Most of us don't. I didn't. I went in, I got that meeting and I was in tears for 3 days. I had no idea. I didn't respond. I responded with a letter saying that I couldn't wait to be on your team, and I'm so sorry, and can you please explain to me, because I don't understand. I mean, I was not coming from a place like you. You put your glasses on and finish. Because
I have to take them off because this is so important. Had I known that was important in a situation like that, my reputation was not enough. It wasn't enough. It didn't matter that I had worked there for 12 years, that I had a stellar reputation, that there had never been an accusation like that before. None of that mattered. There needed to be a follow-up to that. I needed to have taken that seriously, that accusation came my way, because that was a part of the people that were involved in the future mobbing that I had. Now, listen, again, not that anything major that is going to come from it, but that I had the policy to come back in an educated way that this was an unacceptable thing that took place, or that I'm aware of what your policy is and that this came about and this is what needs to happen because of it. Or this is just where your stand is. I'm educated. I know what your policy is. I know what my state laws are. I know what all of this is. And to be able to come from a place of being educated is empowering. And I want people to have that, because I didn't think it mattered. I thought that I could stand for myself, that it was enough. And in the end, it absolutely wasn't. It's important people know what to do. They need to look at their policies and they need to know them.
It's very important that people know, except for, I'm speaking of my own experience, I was in such an emotional state that I couldn't, it was hard. I couldn't function. So I didn't even think about, and plus you always hear, don't go above your manager.
Yes. We talk about that so much. Yes.
So I was scared to even go to, it was hard for me to even go to HR when I did. And I didn't get a response from HR for a month.
Right.
Because the policies don't really matter. And you can know them and you can say them strongly, but like you said, then you need to know your risk if you say them strongly, because that's a risk also. And you're playing that, you're balancing. Should I speak up? Should I not speak up? That's the question. Should I tell them I know their policies? Now I know HR really stands for risky, high risk, don't go there, because they don't really give a crap. And if I speak up and I tell them I know your policies, and it doesn't matter.
Yes. That is the point of this show, though, right? I love it that you're saying this, because if you're going to do it, you need to have some things in line, right? You need to think about things before you do it, before you go to HR, before you do these things, right? So we know that you have to have an exit strategy. We want you to set a time frame for fighting. This is really important. I fought as hard as I could for 6 months, and I ended up resigning because I lost my memory. And then I ended up with PTSD and 2 years of full-blown recovery from the experience that I had. The Crockett, I love her work. It's funny. She had mentioned in an interview once that it was 3 months. And it was funny. It resonated so heavily with me because at 3 months, maybe I stood a chance of keeping my health and my sanity. Like I was going to fight no matter what. And we'll talk about that at the end, right? Like, what would you have done? I was going to fight no matter what, because that's what my personality was. That's what my belief system was like, but I fought for too long, and I pushed my body too far. If you can't get an issue resolved within 3 months and it's affecting all these different areas of your life, and it's starting to affect your sleep, right? Your memory, how you're feeling about yourself, 3 months, you need, well, again, you don't need to leave. There's a lot of things to consider, but at 3 months, you're putting yourself at real harm if they haven't resolved the issues that you've brought up after speaking up.
Yeah, I think that the point that you made earlier about keeping your dignity, that's a real important piece of this.
Yeah.
Because you speaking up does help you, I think helps you recover in the end, helps your self-esteem and keep some of your dignity. And for doing this, for me, speaking up has helped me enormously to give me purpose and speak out against it. I've taken my power back. I know who I am. I know my worth. And whatever, what happened is what happened. A lot of people, this is such a good topic because it's so hard to know what to do. And everyone, no matter what, if you spoke up or you didn't speak up, you always are going to look back and say, I should have done it the other way. But the truth of the matter is you need to move forward. You need to put on your rose-colored glasses, and you need to know your worth and move forward. And those aren't your people. You're not supposed to be there. And when that starts, you're gone. So speak up, keep your dignity. Don't speak up, keep your dignity, whatever works, right? This is my last thing we'll say, and we'll end the show because we've gone on for a long time. But
this is supposed to be 8 minutes.
It's okay. We can do two. We can do two. This is too important. In the end, I wouldn't do it again because this is for me. The toll it took on my health and my body, my mind, my spirit was too strong. And I know that we don't all have resources. I mean, I don't have a backup plan. My father passed away, may he rest in peace, over a year ago. So I really had no one. But in the end, I say this to you all the time. I would sell my house, make sure my dog has his medicine. I would eat peanut butter and jelly and macaroni and cheese on the streets because the emotional toll it took on me. But I'm recovering. I got my rose-colored glasses that you sent me, as a matter of fact. But I wouldn't let anyone do that to me again. Now I know the emotional trauma is too much. How do you feel? Would you speak up so much, or would you walk away?
Okay, well, so first of all, like no silence, no shame, right? Like that is our motto. And I feel it so strongly that as much as we're saying today about how to speak up safely, when to speak up, listen, first of all, it's very important to know whether you're in the beginning, middle, or end, and seeking advice from a lawyer or from a workplace bullying consultant is super important to know where you're at in this process. Mm-hmm. But I want people to know that any decision that they make for themselves, that there is no shame in it. Yeah. And, whatever end of the spectrum you're on or how you feel about that, like, you're going to be able to find support. And some people are going to have to stay, Robin. That is the reality of it. So if they have to, I'm not saying because you don't think so. I'm just saying we acknowledge that some people are going to have to stay, or they're just simply going to refuse to leave for many reasons. We are attached to our jobs for many, many reasons. And a big part of that is just simply the injustice of having to go there. Yeah, right. So the injustice, we're back to that. And for some people, that will be that they will not be able to leave because they shouldn't have to. So how can we support those people, how they feel? We want to tell them what the risks are, but we want to support them. We want to give them resources. If you need to play dead, there's no shame in playing dead either.
No.
Like, we just want to be able to talk about it so everyone can leave alive.
There's no shame in any of it. I want, if you're staying, if you have to stay, you really, really, I think you need to pin this on your mirror every morning. I am a fucking badass. Yes! Sorry for my language, but you need to, if you're going to stay, you need to really, really know why you're being bullied. You're being bullied because you're totally a hard worker. You're very talented. You do your job. What they just pick on people. You're moral and ethical everything about a target is like ABCs. And the bullies, they come at you with the same stuff. Janet, what do we say? What do we say,
They're
Janet?
not very creative. They are not creative. You can predict what's coming. Yeah.
Look up online. We know what's coming. So if you're going to stay, I want to turn it around for them. Get yourself some rose-colored glasses. Yeah. Reach out to people. Know why you're being bullied. I mean, look at them like, oh man, you are so pathetic, and walk away. I'm saying this now. I was on the couch, Janice, you had PTSD and panic attacks.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, if you're going to stay. But really, you got to do a lot of self-care, a lot of self-love, and know that you got to find your people to support you. And we're out here.
Oh my God, that's so good. Okay, let's put on our rose-colored glasses because we want to know from the audience, for those of you that were targeted in the workplace, right?
Right.
To speak up or not to speak up? That is the question.
Yes,
Let us know what your thoughts are on that.
And you know what? We'll see you soon. Have a great day.
Yeah. Have a great week, everybody.